I want to tell you about an exercise, experiment, which took 13 years to complete, cost $2.7 billion, and there was a whole bunch of governments around the world that got involved to make sure this was completed successfully, which happened in 2003. Hi, my name is Opie. I talk about health, wealth, and happiness. So today's topic is going to be about the Human Genome Project, which I started off with, and I wanted to discuss how it impacts us from a health perspective. So let's get into it. So what the Human Genome Project is, we as humans were able to map out a blueprint of all of our DNA from start to finish. Took a long time, took a lot of money, but the good news is that was decades ago. Fast forward to today, this can be done for as little as $1,000, and it takes a few weeks to complete. Moving forward, as the years progress, this is going to get cheaper and cheaper. And, if you wanted your DNA sequenced, and if you want to know, if you are prone to any particular diseases or whatnot, it would be as easy as you going to the doctor, ordering a scan, just like you would order a blood test, and you would get that report back. This is how it'll happen moving forward, as according to my predictions at least. The cost of doing this will get cheaper and cheaper. What does this mean for a potential mom and dad who is thinking about a child, bring a child into this world? They can potentially have the genome sequenced for an embryo and map that out and see if there's any diseases or illnesses that this particular baby might be prone to. Cut that out, put something else in that's not broken, that's not a fatal illness, and make sure that the baby is born into a healthy living baby, right? So that fetus is born into a healthy living baby. So this works okay for, as I said, illnesses that are hereditary. Okay, and I'll give you an example of this. I've mentioned this previously in another channel where I met a father who had a muscle disease where the muscles sort of deteriorate over time, and his lifespan is 30-40 years or so. Unfortunately, his son has got this now, very young person still. But the good news is, by the time this son reaches adulthood, there might be some treatments available. In the future, that gene potentially could be identified before even the child was born, and that could be substituted in for a working gene, a gene that didn't have this ailment. Okay, does that make sense? So there's a real world application that is usable for this particular thing, right? So that's the good news. The good news is that some of these elements can be identified early, and we could work out, there's a technology known as CRISPR, where you basically cut out the gene or slice it and let it repair, or put something else in and actually make sure that the troublesome gene or troublesome DNA sequence is removed and something else is put in, and then the baby is born healthy. The moral and ethical debate is continuing. That's going to take a little bit of time to resolve. I don't know what the conclusion of that one will be, but that will play out over the next few years and decades. But from a technology perspective, it can be done. It has been done. And if I was to make a prediction, it'll probably will be done in the future as well. If we look at this side of the spectrum, what happens if you are prone to chronic diseases that we have today, such as diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and so on? These chronic diseases, what happens if you've got it in your genes that you have these? Here's my prediction. My prediction is you can get those taken out and new ones put in so they don't impact you. But here's the clincher. Our chronic diseases are only 20 to 30% because of our genes. 70 to 80 are because of our lifestyle and dietary choices and our environment. There's a classic joke, right, where a patient goes into the doctor and he gets a blood test done, and the doctor goes, "Mate, you've got diabetes." And the patient replies, "Oh, that doc, that's because, diabetes runs in our family." And the doctor replies, "No one runs in your family. That's the reason why you've got diabetes. No one runs." The joke is that some of these choices are family based. So, all the way from the way we live our life, do we eat and, take a nap afterwards? I mean, I'm guilty of that sometimes. Do we eat the same carbohydrate, rich food over and over and over again? Do we go for a jog? Do we exercise? Do we smoke? Do we drink excessive amounts of alcohol? Do we not get enough sleep? All of these compound, do we live under stress? All of that bucket and more makes up 70 to 80% of the chronic diseases. So even though the Human Genome Project is wonderful and is amazing, that is not going to disappear in the future. You're still going to be responsible for what you eat, how you live your life, and what your surroundings are. That's the fact of the matter. Does that make sense? So, Dr. Greger says, your genes may load the gun, but it's your diet and lifestyle choices that pulls the trigger. So whether you like it or not, the majority of the things is within your control, for better or worse. So in the future, you can't just flick a switch and go, "Hey, I'm all good now. I'm not going to have any I'm not going to have any diabetes. I'm not going to have any heart disease," because it's the way you live that determine these things. I mean, we often forget that such things as even recipes get passed down from generation to generation. So that means, like, if your grandmother was used to cooking purely with duck fat or some sort of animal fat, you inherently think that's normal. That's what you do. Of course it tastes good. And then your mom does the same, you do the same, and then all of you have got some sort of chronic disease. And you think, "Oh, it's just in our genes." Is it though? Is it? Maybe it's the recipes that you've been passing down from generation to generation, not just your genes. So I personally have to sort of look at my life and, dissect every aspect of my life and make conscious decisions on what I want to carry forward and what I want to pass to the next generation. This goes in the categories of health, wealth, and happiness. I've had to go through each of them and go, hey, because when you're being brought up in a certain household, things become normal. It becomes normal to have, say, ice cream after dinner. It's just what you do. You have dessert after dinner. That's what you do. Is it though? Is it? I don't today. I have my dinner and that's it. I don't treat myself to a dessert afterwards, an ice cream or whatever. Occasionally, of course, if you wanted to do that, you can. But that shouldn't be your norm. Just because your parents did it, they probably got some sort of chronic disease. I shouldn't be laughing, but this is how it plays out. And it's not obviously just dietary choices, it's other choices as well. The way you, the way you manage your stress, the anger, decision-making processes, anything and everything, you have to sort of go through and apply a very, very critical lens and go, okay, this is what's been happening in my family growing up. Do I want to carry this forward? Do I want to teach my kids this? When we talk about, the topic of generational trauma is brought up often these days. So it's up to you. If it's meant to be, it's up to you. Dissect it and work out if you want to move it forward. Don't play the blame game and don't blame your parents. They did the best they could. This is not a blame game. They didn't know any better. They did what they could with what they had. Now it's up to you as an individual to take control of the situation, take control of your own life, and impart whatever wisdom that you can to your kids, whatever you think is best. And then the process continues. They look at it and go, hey, what was I told growing up? Is this correct? Should I do this? Shouldn't I? And so on. So I know I started from the Human Genome Project and I've gone way left field into chronic diseases. But I hope that made sense in terms of we're not going to have a silver bullet to cure any our diseases. Okay, you have to consciously make sure you're eating right and eating a healthy life. Leading a healthy life, because once you get these chronic diseases, it's really difficult for the doctors to come in and intervene. And this all led from a discussion I had with someone yesterday. They're barely in their 60s. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And I've seen what this person consumes, and I'm not surprised. So eat right, make conscious decisions, and just understand that the food that we put in our mouth is the fuel that the body uses to run like a car, right? So make sure you're putting good stuff in your mouth so it can fuel your body. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you in the next video. All the best.